They tried to bury this, not the man, the truth. Because everybody cried when MO3 passed. Everybody posted the throwbacks. Everybody screamed loyalty. But what if I told you the real story about who was running the crew? Never made it to Instagram. At 1:43 a.m., my phone lights up. Unknown number, Texas area code. I almost ignore it, but something told me answer. And the voice on the other end says, "You want to know who really controlled everything?" Silence. Then he says, "It wasn't who the fans think." Now listen, I don't drop stories unless I've done the homework. I've seen the screenshots. I've heard the voice notes. I've talked to 2 people who were in the room when money conversations got heated. And according to a former manager who says he was pushed out for asking too many questions, the power behind the scenes was never what it looked like on camera. We're talking about show money that didn't match deposits. We're talking about back-end percentages that allegedly shifted. We're talking about passwords, publishing, and one specific crew member who, according to insiders, started approving everything. And here's the part that'll split the comments in half. The former manager says MO3 knew something wasn't right, but he also says MO3 was stuck between loyalty and leverage. Was this just messy business? Or was somebody quietly steering the ship while the world thought everything was solid? Because if even 30% of these receipts are real, then the narrative y'all been defending for years might not be the full story. It all started right after MO3's buzz went national, and if you were on the streets of Dallas back then, you felt the energy shift in the air. Shows were selling out, streams were climbing, and the features started hitting like clockwork. At first glance, it looked like smooth momentum, the dream everyone hopes for. But if you were in the room late at night after the cameras stopped rolling, the vibe was different. That's where Dre comes in, the former manager who's speaking out now. He wasn't just part of the entourage, he was the one handling the grind, booking shows, negotiating fees, and making sure everything ran like a machine. But according to Dre, the machine had a hidden operator, someone fans never saw on Instagram, someone quietly approving everything from studio sessions to flight bookings. Dre claims it started subtly. A new face in the back of the studio, offering opinions on deals, contracts, and who could be in the inner circle. At first, Dre says he didn't think much of it. It was loyalty, he said in a voice note I received at 2 a.m. We came from the same struggle. We all had each other's back. But loyalty, he learned, is a tricky word in the music industry. Dre says things escalated fast. He would negotiate a show, secure a contract for $40,000, and celebrate the win, only for the payout to arrive mysteriously lower than expected. When he asked questions, he was told, "You thinking too much. Just let the business handle itself." Those words haunted Dre. They were spoken in a studio lounge late one night, voices low but tense. The line between friendship, loyalty, and control started to blur, and Dre began noticing patterns he couldn't ignore. Fewer crew members he trusted suddenly had access to accounts, studio schedules, and even publishing rights that were supposed to be locked. The deeper he dug, the more he realized MO3's own access was sometimes limited, not because of him, but because someone else in the crew had quietly taken control behind the scenes. Dre insists he never had the full picture of finances, contracts, or revenue splits, and that's when the tension started building. According to Dre, the first real warning came after a high-profile club appearance in Atlanta. Everything seemed normal, the crowd, the energy, the headlines. But when the back-end money didn't match the numbers on the contract, Dre's questions were met with silence. Calls went unanswered, group chats went quiet, and suddenly he felt the walls closing in. Fans remember those years as pure brotherhood, laughter in the studio, viral Instagram clips of MO3 and his team joking around, late night sessions that seemed legendary. But Dre's voice notes paint a different picture, one of subtle tension, hushed arguments about percentages, and long nights wondering who truly had authority. He says one incident stands out. In a private meeting, he confronted the situation head on. "I told him straight up, you gotta see what's happening around you," Dre said, referring to MO3. The reply he got still shakes him. "I know more than you think," MO3 allegedly said. Was he aware of the manipulations? Was he playing a silent game to protect certain people? Or was he caught between loyalty to friends and the harsh reality of business? Dre wouldn't speculate, but he said that moment changed everything for him. From there, things became a delicate balancing act. Dre says that specific accounts for tours and revenue were controlled by only a handful of people, none of whom were him. Some crew members allegedly had logins to publishing and master accounts that MO3 himself sometimes didn't touch. Dre describes a night in a Dallas studio where arguments over revenue percentages got so heated that one member allegedly slammed a laptop shut mid-conversation and said, "This ain't your business anymore." Dre claims he tried to track every dollar, but the trail kept leading to accounts he couldn't access. Fans wouldn't notice, he said, because MO3 kept performing, kept dropping hits, and kept showing up on social media like everything was perfect. The illusion was flawless. And then Dre says, things got worse when a new affiliate started showing up at shows, someone who, by Dre's account, began to quietly assert influence over crew decisions. Dre describes this person as the silent operator, someone who wasn't blood, wasn't official management, but somehow became a gatekeeper for tours, payments, and even studio access. Dre recalls a night when he questioned a delayed payout. "You thinking too much," the silent operator allegedly said. "Everything's fine, relax." The words were casual, but Dre tells me the vibe was threatening. From then on, he began documenting everything, saving screenshots of transfers, emails, and contracts in case history needed to know the truth. Fans remember MO3's rise as smooth, organic, a story of a Texas rapper grinding his way to national recognition. But Dre paints a picture of quiet chaos, awning of control shifting behind closed doors. One example he shared, a screenshot of what looked like a routing sheet with numbers circled in red. He refused to say whether it was real or verified. "All I'm saying," he told me, "is there are gaps in the money trail, and those gaps weren't accidents." This is where the first cracks in the narrative appeared. The family didn't know all the details, MO3 himself may have had limited visibility, and fans certainly didn't. Dre alleges that as the disputes over percentages and payments continued, he started to feel phased out, not publicly, not with announcements, not with statements that could make headlines, just quietly removed from the inner workings. No role, no influence, no answers. The shows went on, Instagram posts continued, MO3's career looked untouchable. But Dre insists the reality behind the scenes was tense. He describes late night DMs, deleted messages, and whispers from other crew members implying that questions were dangerous. He tells me, "It got to the point where asking about money felt like betrayal." And while Dre was documenting receipts, saving screenshots, and keeping voice notes, he also noticed subtle tensions within the crew. Arguments about publishing percentages, disagreements over who owned masters, debates over the order of studio sessions. It all added up to a crew that looked tight on the surface, but was quietly fracturing. Dre remembers a moment at a studio session when someone joked about control being the real power. Nobody laughed. Everyone stared at each other. Dre says he felt it in his chest. That line wasn't a joke. And that was the night he realized things were deeper than he imagined. One of the most shocking elements, according to Dre, was the secrecy surrounding financial accounts. Contracts for tours, payments from shows, and streaming revenue supposedly flowed through systems that only a few had access to. MO3, the artist, wasn't always in control. Dre says he tried to get access, tried to reconcile numbers, but doors were closed. "I wasn't removed because I was bad at my job," he says. "I was removed because I asked questions. And that makes some people nervous." Screenshots he sent me show what he claims are partial transaction records with redacted names, enough to make you pause and question everything you thought you knew about how MO3's crew operated. Despite the tension, Dre stresses that MO3 was aware of some issues. He knew more than most, he said, but knowing didn't mean acting, or maybe he was trapped by loyalty, by trust, by the same bonds that made the crew look united. Dre recalls conversations in private where MO3 admitted feeling the pressure, but also wanting to protect those he trusted. The duality of business versus brotherhood, he says, is the real story that fans rarely see. By the time MO3's shows were hitting new cities, Dre says he had already started piecing together a pattern. There were discrepancies between contracts and payouts, unexpected detours of revenue, and invisible hands redirecting authority. Dre didn't know if it was malicious or just messy management, but he knew the signs of control. And when he tried to address it publicly, or even privately, he was subtly warned off. "Fine, just handle your side," he remembers being told by one crew member after a heated discussion at a Houston studio. That line, Dre says, became the anthem of his final months with the team, a warning that digging too deep could get you pushed out. Even now, years later, Dre emphasizes that this isn't about accusations, it's about transparency, but the receipts, screenshots, and deleted messages he has paint a complicated picture, a picture of power shifting behind the scenes, a picture of money flowing through hands fans never knew existed. did, and a picture of a crew that looked unbreakable but was quietly fraying at the edges. Then there's the studio footage Dre references, clips of late night sessions where arguments were hushed, not captured in Instagram posts, but captured in memory and rumor. He tells me about moments where certain crew members would subtly assert authority over MO3's schedule, even joking in a clipped tone, "We handle this." MO3 would laugh, but Dre insists the laughter was nervous, a way to maintain harmony without revealing concern. And that tension, according to Dre, escalated into a pattern where decisions were made quietly, behind the public persona of unity. Fans saw a rising star and a tight-knit crew. Dre saw late-night spreadsheets, screenshots of financial discrepancies, and whispers that suggested something more complex than camaraderie. He calls it the invisible hand behind the curtain, a force guiding tours, revenue, and decisions that even MO3 couldn't fully see. He emphasizes that loyalty and family were real, but control, that belonged to someone else entirely. By the time Dre left the crew, he was convinced that fans had been fed a curated image of perfection. The money trail, the authority, and the subtle tensions behind closed doors had gone mostly unnoticed. He insists he isn't trying to rewrite history, just show that there's more to the story than Instagram clips, hit records, and viral moments. The problem, Dre says, is that the truth is fragmented. Screenshots only show part of it, voice notes capture part of it, and memories, well, they fade or get spun differently depending on who's telling the story. And that's where the cliffhanger lies. For every screenshot Dre has, for every voice note he's kept, there's a shadowy figure in the background who controlled more than fans could imagine. Who was it? What was their motive, and where did the money actually go? 3 days after Dre's first voice note leaked to a small blog, the story started to spread like wildfire. A fan page posted a cryptic caption, "Y'all really don't know who was in control." Within hours, Twitter and Instagram were blowing up with theories. Some fans were convinced it was clout chasing. Others swore Dre was spilling truths no one dared speak about. The comment sections were erupting. "Stop disrespecting his legacy," one fan typed. "This is the receipts we needed." Another replied, "It was chaos, and that chaos only fueled the momentum." Then came the first Instagram live that really caught everyone off guard. A former affiliate, let's call him Rico, went on around midnight, eyes bloodshot, demeanor tense. He didn't mention Dre directly at first, but the shade was unmistakable. "Stop acting like everything was clean," Rico said to the camera, scanning the room as if someone might be watching him. "Y'all think artists see every dollar. That's cute, really cute, but y'all got no idea." The chat went wild. Fans spammed laughing emojis, shocked emojis, and question marks. Some started claiming they had receipts too, while others immediately accused Rico of being bitter or chasing attention. But he smirked, leaned back, and said, "All I'm saying is, some people got comfortable." Then the live ended abruptly, leaving thousands of viewers in suspense. As if that wasn't enough, screenshots began surfacing, alleged DMs between Dre and another unnamed industry insider discussing missing back-end percentages. One screenshot in particular caught attention. It read, "He never saw the full breakdown. That's on them." Fans were immediately divided. Some claimed it was fake, pointing out that text fonts didn't match. Others swore it was authentic, comparing the timestamps and subtle emoji usage to other verified conversations. The debate raged on for days. Meanwhile, an old interview clip surfaced of MO3 where he mentioned trusting the people around him. Now fans were dissecting every word. "Did he know?" one tweet asked. "Was he aware?" another replied. By day 2, the family got indirectly involved. An older cousin posted a cryptic Instagram story. "Don't let outsiders rewrite history." The message was vague but powerful. Fans immediately took sides. Some defended the crew, claiming loyalty over speculation. Others felt the family was trying to silence Dre before he spilled even more. Emotions ran high. Online forums and fan pages exploded with posts like, "Y'all really think everything was transparent?" and "Some people just can't handle the truth." The narrative was no longer just about finances, it was about legacy, loyalty, and trust. Then twist number 1 hit. A producer who had worked with MO3 for years posted a cryptic tweet, "Masters don't lie." He deleted it 10 minutes later, but the internet never forgets. Screenshots circulated like wildfire. Fans began connecting dots, suggesting the tweet hinted at ownership issues, contract discrepancies, and the possibility that the crew controlled more than just studio access. That simple tweet sparked a second wave of social media chaos. Comment sections exploded. "We need receipts." "Stop playing." "Y'all just chasing drama." The online community split into camps, some defending MO3's crew, but others questioning every post he had ever made. Dre went quiet publicly, but he kept sending voice notes to me and a handful of bloggers. He claimed that specific accounts used for tour revenue were only accessible to 2 people, none of whom were him. He said, "I wasn't removed because I was failing. I was removed because I asked questions." And just when people thought things might cool off, twist number 2 dropped. An alleged former accountant, remaining anonymous, emailed a popular blog claiming certain deposits were being rerouted through an LLC unfamiliar to primary management. The blog posted it without verification. Instantly, fans were questioning everything they knew. The comment section exploded with arguments. "Y'all trying to tarnish the legacy," one fan wrote. "No, we want transparency." Another fired back. Amid all the chaos, club footage resurfaced from an old Atlanta appearance. Certain crew members were seen flashing large amounts of cash, while Dre's screenshot suggested the payouts were short. Coincidence or correlation? Nobody could tell. Then an old family member went live for 10 minutes, cryptically saying, "Some of y'all weren't there from the start." That one sentence caused hours of speculation, with fans trying to determine if it was about money, loyalty, or both. And just when things were settling slightly, Dre posted one sentence on Instagram: "I was removed for asking questions." Then he deleted it minutes later. The tension only amplified. The story escalated further when leaked audio surfaced. It was allegedly from a private meeting years ago, capturing Dre's voice asking, "We need full transparency." Another voice, familiar but unverified, responded, "You don't trust the circle?" The clip cut out abruptly, leaving fans desperate for context. Some claimed it was fake, others were convinced it was real. Social media debates raged into the early hours. Old contract filings began circulating, showing company names tied to early tour revenue that most fans had never heard of. The family was now divided, publicly and privately. Some defended the crew, while others stayed silent, leaving speculation to run wild. Then came twist number 3. A former romantic partner of MO3 posted a vague message. He told me he felt pressure. That one word, pressure, sent the fan base spiraling. Pressure from who? For what? She didn't clarify, but fans immediately interpreted it as confirmation that someone behind the scenes had control over both the money and the decisions. Dre privately claimed that MO3 had considered restructuring his entire team months before his passing, but whether that ever happened or not remained a mystery. If true, it would shift the timeline of control and authority entirely. On top of all this, the confrontation at a Houston industry event escalated the drama in real time. Dre and a current crew member reportedly crossed paths. Voices were raised. "You're twisting it," the crew member allegedly said. "I'm telling the truth," Dre responded. Security intervened. No punches thrown, but the tension was palpable. Fans were shocked as rumors spread that tempers flared and that even respected affiliates had taken sides. Comment sections were ablaze. "Show the books," shouted one fan. "Y'all protecting the wrong people," replied another. The narrative was fractured beyond repair. And then twist number 4 hit. An alleged contract draft surfaced online, showing a different royalty split than fans had assumed for years. No signatures, no verification, just a single PDF with redacted names, enough to ignite chaos. People dissected it line by line, sharing screenshots, highlighting numbers, and debating interpretations in real time. Social media became a war zone. Fans were dissecting every single interaction MO3 ever had with his team, trying to figure out what was real and what was performance. Dre kept sending voice notes privately, insisting that while he wasn't accusing anyone of theft, the control structure was a story fans weren't supposed to see. At the same time, Instagram Lives kept popping up from lesser-known affiliates. Some defended the crew, some hinted at secrets, and some threatened to reveal more receipts. Fans were glued to their phones. Every cryptic message, every deleted post, every removed story became evidence in a war of speculation. The energy online was electric. News blogs scrambled to keep up, reposting screenshots, analyzing videos, and interviewing anyone who would talk off camera. Dre remained cautious but persistent. He said, "This isn't about attacking anyone. It's about understanding what really happened behind closed doors." Twist number 5 came in the form of a leaked recording of a group chat. Allegedly from the inner circle, the clip showed a conversation about redirecting funds and keeping numbers quiet until the right time. Names were redacted, but fans connected dots, mapping it to tour revenue, publishing rights, and studio fees. The comment sections erupted in debates. Some accused Dre of fabricating the evidence. Others claimed it was the proof they had been waiting for. Emotions ran high, with people debating the ethics of loyalty versus transparency. Meanwhile, older footage from the studio resurfaced, showing heated conversations, hushed arguments, and subtle displays of authority. Dre describes one scene where a crew member allegedly told MO3, "We handle this," and MO3 laughed. But the laughter, according to Dre, was nervous, a performance to maintain harmony. Fans started questioning every past interview, every Instagram post, every smile in a video. Could the person flashing cash be the same one controlling decisions? Could the tours, the contracts, and even the publishing splits have been quietly influenced without MO3's full knowledge? The questions were endless. Even the family became a factor in the social media frenzy. Some defended the crew publicly, posting cryptic messages on Twitter and Instagram, while others stayed silent, letting speculation flourish. Dre privately insists that loyalty and love were real within the crew, but control, that belonged elsewhere. Some fans saw this as betrayal, others saw it as the messy truth of business versus family. Either way, the debate became relentless. By the end of that week, the story had grown far beyond Dre, far beyond MO3, and far beyond Dallas. Social media, blogs, radio shows, and even podcast hosts dissected every detail. Fans picked sides. Some saw Dre as the truth teller, others as the outsider stirring drama. Every screenshot, every deleted post, every leaked audio became fuel for a fire that seemed impossible to put out. And in the shadows, the silent operators remained, unseen but undeniably central to the narrative. The suspense was suffocating. Every time a fan thought they had a conclusion, a new leak, a new story, or a new live would drop, shaking the narrative to its core. And as social media exploded with theories, Dre's private voice notes hinted that the biggest revelations were still coming. The unseen hands behind MO3's crew, the diverted revenue, the whispered commands. Dre said there was more evidence, more screenshots, and more receipts waiting for the world to see. By the end of the week, it wasn't just a story about missing money or authority. It was a full-blown drama of loyalty, trust, betrayal, and power. Fans debated, families whispered, and social media remained ablaze. And Dre, he stayed off camera. He's watching as the narrative he lived through unfolded in real time. Every leaked message, every screenshot, every Instagram live reinforcing the tension and leaving the fan base divided. The post from Dre changed everything. One sentence, then deleted, but it set the internet ablaze. I was removed for asking questions. It didn't matter that it vanished in minutes. Screenshots were already circulating, tagged, retweeted, and saved. Overnight, fan pages exploded. The comment sections became war zones. "Show us the receipts," shouted one, while another fired back, "Y'all just spreading rumors." But it wasn't just fans reacting. Current affiliates began responding in subtle ways on social media. Cryptic posts hinting at respecting the legacy and keeping the circle tight. Every move was a signal. And the tension was tangible even through the screen. Within hours, a live video went viral of a crew member, visibly upset, defending the inner circle. "Stop playing with my brother's name," he shouted, pacing, glaring into the camera. "Ain't nobody stealing nothing." He didn't name Dre, but fans immediately connected the dots. The chat blew up. "Then show the books," one fan demanded. "If it's clean, prove it," another replied. Emotions ran high, and the situation escalated beyond anything social media had ever seen for a single voice note. It was no longer about money, it was about loyalty, legacy, and reputation. Then the first shocking twist hit. A leaked audio clip surfaced, allegedly from a private meeting between Dre and members of the crew. In it, Dre's voice was calm but firm. "We need full transparency." Another voice responded, clipped and tense, "You don't trust the circle?" The audio abruptly cuts off, leaving fans desperate for context. Was this the real tension? Was someone hiding financial details? Or was it just another instance of paranoia amplified by grief? Fans were split. Some insisted it was authentic, others argued it was doctored. Either way, it fueled the narrative and sent comment sections into overdrive. In parallel, an old business filing began circulating online, showing an LLC tied to early tour revenue, one that most fans had never heard of. Details were scarce, but the filing alone was enough to ignite speculation. Fans began connecting dots with previous screenshots and voice notes. Theories proliferated. Who had access to the LLC? 1. Was this part of the silent operator Dre warned about? Social media debates raged across platforms, with heated threads on Twitter, fan pages dissecting Instagram lives, and TikTokers creating timelines that nobody could fully verify. Then the second shocking twist emerged. A former romantic partner of MO3 posted a cryptic story. He told me he felt pressure. One word, pressure, sent fans spiraling. Pressure from who? Pressure over what? She didn't clarify. Dre claims that MO3 had considered restructuring his entire team months before his passing, hinting that someone within the crew might have had control without the public or even MO3 fully realizing it. Social media immediately connected the dots. Threads speculated that the pressure mentioned was linked to missing revenue, redirected funds, or control over publishing. Emotions ran high. Fans were shocked. The family was silent but aware, which only amplified the mystery. Amid this chaos, the confrontation at a Houston industry event became legendary in insider circles. Dre allegedly crossed paths with a current crew member. Voices escalated. "You're twisting it," the crew member reportedly shouted. "I'm telling the truth," Dre countered. Security intervened before it got physical, but the tension lingered. Social media quickly caught wind through eyewitness posts. "Shots fired at Houston event," read one tweet. "Dre claps back," said another. The clip of a snippet of the altercation circulated, heavily edited, leaving fans debating exactly what had happened. Emotions ran high across the community, both online and off. Leaked contracts started surfacing shortly after. Odds allegedly showing royalty splits that differed significantly from fan assumptions. No signatures were visible, just a PDF with redacted names. Fans dissected every number. Discussions about the inner workings of tour revenue, publishing percentages, and control over masters became mainstream conversation points. Dre maintained that he wasn't accusing anyone of theft, but emphasized that control, power, and access had quietly shifted behind the scenes. Fans debated endlessly. Was Dre telling the truth, or was this rewriting history? Then came the third shocking twist. A group chat allegedly involving the inner circle was leaked online, hinting at funds being redirected and kept quiet until the right time. The names were redacted, but fans began piecing together timelines, correlating dates with past tours and studio sessions. The speculation reached a fever pitch. People questioned the ethics of loyalty versus transparency. Was this just normal management chaos amplified by grief and fame, or something more calculated? Dre insisted he was not accusing anyone outright, but every leaked message reinforced the idea that fans had never seen the full picture. Meanwhile, older studio footage resurfaced, showing arguments and subtle displays of authority. Dre described one moment where a crew member allegedly told MO3, "We handle this." MO3 laughed, but according to Dre, it was nervous laughter, a mask to maintain harmony while navigating an invisible power struggle. Fans went back and watched every old interview, clip, and performance, searching for hidden signs, subtle body language, or proof that the inner circle controlled more than anyone realized. Every smile, handshake, or Instagram post became fodder for speculation. Social media was not the only battlefield. Blogs, podcasts, and radio personalities began dissecting the situation in real time. The narrative became layered. Some defended the crew and claimed the money was never missing. Others argued transparency had been systematically blocked. Heated arguments ran across forums, live shows, and even private DMs that eventually leaked to the public. Dre stayed off camera, but actively fed private voice notes and screenshots to a few trusted outlets, each one reinforcing the story without giving a full conclusion. Twist number 4 emerged in the form of an unexpected leak, a series of old texts between Dre and a former accountant, hinting at the possibility that certain deposits were rerouted through shell accounts and LLCs unfamiliar to the main management. No names were visible, no verification existed, but fans immediately connected the messages to past screenshots and Instagram lives, creating an elaborate theory about hidden revenue streams, untracked royalties, and unseen control structures. The comment sections exploded. "This is insane," one fan wrote. "This explains so much," another replied. The story had evolved from missing money to a full-blown conspiracy in fans' eyes. Then came twist number 5, arguably the most explosive. Allegedly, a draft contract appeared online showing a completely different royalty split than what fans had assumed for years. Numbers didn't align with public information, and no signatures were visible. Immediately, and fans went into overdrive, dissecting every line. Why were these numbers hidden? One Twitter user demanded. Is this why Dre got removed? Replied another. The leak sparked debates about authority, transparency, and loyalty, pitting fans against one another while raising new questions about MO3's team and their decisions. Amid all this, the story became as much about emotions as it was about money. Allegiances shifted. Friends who had previously appeared loyal now had to clarify their statements. Former associates went live on Instagram to defend themselves or hint at secrets. One current affiliate posted a photo holding a stack of cash with the caption, "Nothing but respect, don't play with the family." Fans dissected every frame, every word, and every emoji. The drama spilled from social media to blogs to late night radio, all leaving the fanbase divided. Meanwhile, Dre quietly continued to document everything. He sent screenshots of studio logs, voice notes from meetings, and even financial spreadsheets. None of it was officially verified, but it all painted a consistent picture of behind-the-scenes tension, untracked authority, and financial discrepancies. Dre emphasized that MO3 loved his team and trusted them, but he also suggested that someone else had quietly assumed control of critical decisions. Decisions that affected tours, revenue, publishing, and ultimately, the legacy of the artist. By now, fans weren't just reacting to Dre, they were reacting to each other. Comment sections became battlegrounds. Y'all believe everything Dre says? One post read, "No, we're just tired of the silence." Another responded, "Yes, a podcast held panel discussions about the possible implications." TikTok creators created timelines, analyzed video clips, and compared social media posts to leaked messages. The drama had become a living organism, constantly growing, mutating, and thriving in real time. Through it all, the family remained mostly silent, which only added fuel to the speculation. Some defended the crew in indirect statements, some avoided comment entirely, and some seemed to suggest that what was circulating online wasn't the full story. Dre hinted that even more information existed, more screenshots, more voice notes, more evidence waiting for the right time to surface. Fans waited impatiently, refreshing Twitter and Instagram to catch the next leak. The suspense reached a fever pitch when Dre suggested that the missing revenue and authority issues might have influenced decisions during MO3's last months. He didn't specify, but the implication alone was explosive. "I can't prove everything publicly," Dre said in a voice note. "But what I can say is that loyalty and control are not always the same thing." That one statement alone created endless discussion. Fans debated, was MO3 aware of what was happening? Was he trapped by loyalty, or had he simply trusted the wrong people? By the end of the week, the story had transformed from a whisper in a small blog to a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Every leak, every live, every screenshot, and every deleted post became part of an ever-growing narrative of tension, secrecy, and power behind MO3's crew. Fans were divided, families were cautious, and Dre remained off camera, feeding just enough breadcrumbs to keep the story alive without revealing the full picture. Social media, blogs, and podcasts all agreed on one thing. This was not just a story about money, it was a story about loyalty, control, and the invisible forces that shape the careers and legacies of artists. And while the drama was far from over, one fact was undeniable. The fan base had never been this polarized, and the truth, whatever it might be, was still out there, waiting to be uncovered. The city was buzzing, but inside the Dallas studio, where Dre had spent countless nights, tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Dre hadn't spoken publicly in weeks, but the whispers, screenshots, and leaked DMs had already shaken the fan base. And the silence was strategic. He knew the story was bigger than one social media post. Yet inside the crew, emotions ran high. One evening, an Instagram live from an affiliate showed him pacing, muttering, "Loyalty isn't supposed to blind you. Wait, this term." Fans immediately screenshot the moment. Some saw it as a warning, others interpreted it as a confession. The story had reached a fever pitch, and no one knew who would blink first. That night, a private meeting took place at a Houston studio, one that wouldn't have made headlines if not for an accidental recording. Dre and a current crew member, let's call him Jax, confronted each other face to face. Voices escalated almost immediately. "You think you know everything?" Jax barked. "You were pushed out because you caused problems." Dre's reply was measured but cutting. "I wasn't causing problems. I was asking questions." The argument spiraled. At one point, Jack slammed a folder of contracts on the table, papers flying. "Do you even understand what we handle behind the scenes?" Dre shot back. The tension was palpable, raw, and fans who later saw clips online described it as watching a powder keg about to blow. During the same week, screenshots and leaked messages flooded social media again. One screenshot showed a back and forth between Dre and an anonymous insider about redirected payments, with cryptic phrases like, "We keep it in the circle," and "Don't question loyalty." Fans immediately started piecing together what they thought was a full map of who controlled what. The comment sections were explosive. "This is exactly what we suspected," one wrote. "Stop twisting facts." Another fired back. Emotions ran high, and the family, sensing the tension online, reportedly tried to intervene behind the scenes. Dre says the interventions were subtle warnings, not confrontations. Then came twist number 1 in this escalation. A leaked DM from a producer who had worked closely with MO3 appeared online, reading, "Masters don't lie, some things are buried." The message was vague, but the implication was incendiary. Fans immediately speculated about missing revenue, ownership of tracks, and the mysterious silent operator Dre had referenced in voice notes. Social media exploded with theories. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to analyzing the one line. Blogs dissected the message, connecting it to previous leaks and Instagram lives. Fans debated in real time about whether the message was proof of mismanagement, foul play, or just normal industry secrecy. Meanwhile, Dre claims another conversation took place in private between MO3 and the crew just weeks before his passing. According to Dre, MO3 asked pointedly about revenue streams, royalties, and publishing splits. He wanted to ensure the people he trusted were actually managing things properly, but Dre alleges that one crew member dismissed him, saying, "You're overthinking it. We got this." MO3, according to Dre, didn't push back. He trusted them, the same people who may have quietly controlled key decisions. This revelation, if accurate, added a haunting layer to the drama. Fans were shocked, debating whether loyalty to friends had outweighed transparency in those final months. A second shocking twist occurred when a former affiliate leaked an audio snippet of a heated conversation. In the recording, Dre can be heard saying, "I can't sit back while the numbers are off." Another voice, calm but chilling, responds, "Then leave, but don't drag the legacy." The clip, although short, instantly went viral. Fans were stunned. The words "don't drag the legacy" sparked endless speculation about hidden agendas and internal battles for control. The comment sections lit up. "Legacy versus loyalty," one asked. "This is deeper than we thought," another replied. At this point, the social media narrative was in full chaos. Every post, every deleted story, every old video was scrutinized. Fans replayed old Instagram lives, analyzing gestures, facial expressions, and subtle comments. Some believed the crew had orchestrated a system of control behind MO3's back. Others insisted everything was done with his knowledge. Heated arguments raged in comments, live streams, or in private fan groups. The story had transcended simple music industry drama and became a cultural debate over transparency, trust, and legacy. Then the third shocking twist hit. Dre leaked a voice note detailing a studio argument where MO3 allegedly admitted feeling cornered, trapped between loyalty to his friends and awareness of control issues. Dre's voice note captured every nuance, frustration, pain, and concern. He wanted to protect people he trusted, but he knew something wasn't right, Dre said. The note was immediately clipped and shared online. Fans were shocked, many arguing over whether MO3 had fully understood what was happening behind the scenes. Emotions ran high, some cried, some argued, and the divide in the community widened. Meanwhile, confrontations continued off camera. Dre described a meeting where he faced Jax and another affiliate. Tension was so thick that even security felt it. Dre recalled one moment. "I told them, I kept all the records, every screenshot, every receipt, and one of them laughed like it was a joke. But the laugh, it wasn't funny, it was a warning." Fans on social media dissected this story for hours, debating whether it was intimidation, loyalty, or manipulation. The drama escalated further with another leak, a group chat allegedly involving several crew members discussing diverted revenue. The messages hinted at keeping numbers quiet until the right moment, and "we handle this differently." The fan base immediately exploded. Every line was dissected, interpreted, and cross-referenced with Instagram lives, deleted posts, and old interviews. Alleged insiders claimed the messages were proof of intentional control shifts. Others accused Dre of exaggerating. The debate was relentless, and emotions ran high. Then, twist number 4 dropped. A former romantic partner of MO3 posted a cryptic Instagram story. "He told me he felt pressure. One word, pressure, was enough to send fans spiraling. Pressure from who? Over what? The story was deleted within minutes, but the screenshot was already circulating. Social media theorists connected this to Dre's leaked messages, previous Instagram lives, and studio confrontations. The narrative deepened. Fans speculated that MO3 had known more than the public, yet was trapped by loyalty and trust. Emotions ran high, and the family reportedly held private meetings to discuss what was happening online. And the tension came to a head when a live confrontation was captured at a Houston event. Dre and Jax reportedly crossed paths again. Voices escalated immediately. "You don't understand the circle," Jax shouted. "I'm telling the truth," Dre fired back. Security intervened, but the heat remained. Fans who witnessed snippets online called it explosive. Comment sections lit up. Finally, someone speaking facts. One wrote, "No, this is drama. Don't feed it," another argued. The energy was raw, unfiltered, and utterly binge-worthy. Then twist number 5 hit. A leaked draft contract appeared online, showing a completely different royalty split than fans had assumed. Names were redacted, signatures missing, numbers highlighted. Fans immediately began dissecting it line by line, debating every clause. Some argued it proved Dre's claims. Others said it was unverifiable. Emotions ran high. Allegiances shifted. The community was divided more than ever. Amid all this, old studio footage resurfaced. Dre described subtle moments of authority being asserted by certain crew members, moments fans had never noticed before. One clip allegedly showed a crew member leaning over MO3, pointing at a calendar saying, "We handle this." MO3 laughed, but according to Dre, it was nervous laughter. Fans replayed it endlessly, speculating on whether MO3 had been fully aware of the dynamics. Discussions exploded across TikTok, Twitter, and fan forums. Meanwhile, the family remained mostly silent, occasionally posting cryptic messages on Instagram and Twitter. "Respect the circle," one story read. Fans interpreted this in hundreds of ways: defense, warning, or subtle acknowledgement that control was centralized elsewhere. Dre claimed he had more evidence waiting but refused to make it public until the right moment. The suspense, the drama, and the divide between transparency and loyalty reached a peak unseen in recent rap history. By the end of the week, the situation was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Fans weren't just reacting to Dre, they were reacting to each other, to the leaked DMs, to Instagram lives, to deleted posts, and to every studio clip resurfacing. Social media became a battlefield. Emotions ran high, opinions clashed, and in the shadows, the silent operators remained, unseen but undeniably central to the story. Every fan theorist, every commenter, every podcast host had their take, but no one had the full picture. Dre remained off camera, always feeding just enough breadcrumbs to keep the story alive while ensuring he wasn't overexposed. "This isn't about clout," he said in one voice note. "It's about understanding what really happened behind the scenes." Fans debated endlessly. Some felt betrayed, others felt enlightened. And while the drama continued to unfold, the central questions lingered. Who truly controlled the crew? Where did the money go? And how much did MO3 really know before the end? Even with all the leaked messages, screenshots, and live videos, the truth remained fragmented. One thing was undeniable: emotions ran high, allegiances shifted, and the family was left divided. Fans, insiders, and the wider rap community were left questioning everything they thought they knew about MO3's team. Every clue, every post, and every screenshot became evidence in a story that refused to settle. Alright fam, let me break it down for you. This story isn't just headlines, it's the real behind the scenes chaos that the cameras never showed you. Dre came forward, screenshots, voice notes, DMs, studio footage. It's all pointing to a bigger picture, one where control, loyalty, and money weren't what fans thought. And here's the kicker: even with all the leaks, receipts, and insider info, the full truth is still out there. Nobody has the whole story. Not me, not Dre, and definitely not the crew in its entirety. That's why the comment sections are straight up explosive right now, because everyone's opinion matters, and fans are dissecting every little detail. I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And who do you believe had the real control over MO3's crew? Do you think Dre is spilling verified truths, or is some of this just insider speculation running wild? Did loyalty get in the way of transparency? Was the money really mismanaged, or is it all a misunderstanding? I know this is heavy, and I know opinions will clash, but that's the point. This isn't just rap news, it's a conversation the whole community is having, and your take could be the one that sparks the next big debate. If you haven't yet, hit that like button because every share, every comment, every discussion helps bring more of these stories to light. And subscribe if you want the real insider coverage, because the stories that get buried, the receipts that don't make the headlines, and the voices that industry insiders don't want you to hear, we bring them to you first. Always unfiltered, raw, and dramatic, just like this one.